You ever notice how someone becomes more interested in you the moment you pull away? It's like magic, but it's not. It's psychology. Most men spend their time chasing women, thinking that the more attention they give, the more affection they'll receive in return. But the truth is, attraction doesn't work that way. If anything, over pursuing often pushes someone further away. When you're always available, constantly texting and making every effort to stay in her orbit, you inadvertently send the message that your attention isn't valuable. On the other hand, when you distance yourself, you create a space where her mind starts to fill in the blanks. And that's where the magic happens. It all boils down to human nature. People are drawn to what's just out of reach. Think about it. Why do luxury items, rare collectibles, or limited time offers hold such a powerful appeal? It's because they're not readily available. The same principle applies to relationships. When you're always accessible, there's no urgency, no curiosity, no mystery. But when you step back, you become the rare, high-value prize she starts to crave. She begins to wonder why you're not as present, what you're up to, and most importantly, why she's suddenly thinking about you so much. But let's be clear, this isn't about playing games or manipulating someone's emotions. It's about understanding how attraction works on a psychological level. The goal isn't to create distance out of spite or to punish her for not reciprocating your attention. Instead, it's about giving her the gift of space to recognize what you bring to the table. When she has the room to miss you, she'll start to appreciate you in a way she never would if you were always right there. There's also a deeper psychological factor at play here. People value what they work for. If everything is handed to you on a silver platter, it loses its appeal. When you're always reaching out, always initiating, you take away her opportunity to invest in you. But when you pull back, you create an opening for her to put in effort. That effort leads to attachment. Suddenly, she's the one texting you first, asking to see you, and wondering why she feels so drawn to you. And this isn't just about creating intrigue. It's about building a dynamic where she feels like she's earned your attention, which makes it all the more rewarding for her. Pulling away isn't as simple as just ignoring her calls or disappearing for days. It's a deliberate, thoughtful process. You don't want to come off as cold or indifferent. Instead, you want to convey confidence and self-assuredness. The key is to focus on yourself. Use the time you're spending apart to improve your life. Hit the gym, work on your career, pursue your passions. When she sees you thriving without her constant validation, it sends a powerful message. You're a man who doesn't need anyone else to feel fulfilled. That kind of independence is magnetic. When you create space in a relationship, something interesting happens. Instead of fading from her mind, you often become the center of it. This is because the brain is wired to focus on things that are uncertain or unresolved. When you distance yourself, you introduce a question mark into her life. What's he doing? Why isn't he reaching out? Did I do something wrong? These unanswered questions are powerful because they create mental tension. And tension, in turn, drives curiosity. Curiosity leads to thoughts, and thoughts lead to longing. By simply pulling back, you've made her think about you more than she ever would if you were constantly in her face. This principle isn't new. In fact, it's been observed in countless studies on human behavior. People are far more likely to value what feels scarce or hard to obtain. When you're always available, you remove that scarcity. You eliminate the chase. And let's be honest, everyone deep down loves the chase. It's the thrill of not knowing, the excitement of wondering what comes next, that keeps people hooked. When you create just enough distance, you reignite that spark of mystery. Suddenly, she's replaying your last conversation in her mind, analyzing your every word, trying to figure out what you're thinking. But here's where most guys mess up. They either overdo it or don't commit to the strategy. Pulling away doesn't mean cutting her off completely. It's not about ghosting or ignoring her altogether. That's not attractive. It's just rude. The key is subtlety. Maybe you don't reply to her texts immediately. Instead of texting her every morning, you skip a day or two. When you see her in person, you're warm, engaged, and present, but you don't overstay your welcome. It's about finding that perfect balance where she starts to miss you but doesn't feel abandoned. This isn't just about making her miss you, though. It's about reshaping the dynamic between the two of you. When you create space, you show that you're not dependent on her for your happiness. This is a game changer because dependence is a major attraction killer. Nobody wants to feel like they're someone else's sole source of validation or joy. By distancing yourself, you're subtly communicating that you're a high value individual with your own life, goals, and ambitions. You're not someone who needs constant attention to feel good about yourself. In fact, this time apart is an opportunity for you to level up. Think about it. When she does reach out, what's more impressive? That you've spent your time waiting for her to text you back, or that you've been busy hitting the gym, crushing your goals, and living your best life? The second option is infinitely more attractive. When she sees you thriving without her, it triggers something deep inside her. It's that realization that you're not just another guy chasing after her. You're someone she has to work to keep up with. As the distance grows, so does her curiosity. And this isn't just about the thrill of the chase. It's about the emotional shift that happens when someone realizes they've been taking you for granted. By giving her space, you're allowing her to experience the absence of your presence. Suddenly, the things she once overlooked, your humor, your charm, the way you made her feel, become glaringly obvious. She starts to replay moments in her head, moments she may not have thought twice about before, and now they feel significant. Why? Because people tend to appreciate things more in hindsight, especially when they feel like they might be losing them. This is where the psychology of loss aversion kicks in. Human beings are hardwired to avoid loss at all costs. We fear losing what we already have more than we desire gaining something new. So when you pull back, she's not just missing you. She's experiencing the anxiety of potentially losing you altogether. That's why distancing yourself works so powerfully. It taps into a primal fear that we all have, the fear of losing something valuable. And because you've built value through your actions, personality, and presence, she'll start to feel that void more intensely than you might expect. Now, let's talk about what happens when she starts chasing you. This is where you need to be smart. If you immediately jump back in, responding to her texts within seconds, or making yourself too available again, you risk undoing all the progress you've made. Instead, you need to maintain that balance. When she reaches out, be responsive but measured. If she asks to see you, agree. But don't rearrange your entire schedule to make it happen. This isn't about playing hard to get. It's about genuinely valuing your time and showing her that your life doesn't revolve around her. At the same time, it's important to reward her efforts. When she does something that shows she's thinking about you or prioritizing you, acknowledge it. People are more likely to continue behaviors that are positively reinforced. If she sends a thoughtful message or takes the initiative to plan something with you, respond warmly. Let her know you appreciate it. This creates a push-pull dynamic that keeps her engaged. You're not ignoring her, but you're also not overindulging her. Instead, you're creating a balance that keeps her interest alive and growing. What's interesting is how this dynamic shifts the power balance in your favor. At the start, you may have felt like the one chasing her, the one trying to win her over. But as you step back and focus on yourself, the tables turn. Now, she's the one putting in the effort. She's the one wondering what you're thinking, whether you're seeing someone else, and how she can get closer to you again. And this isn't about ego. It's about creating a relationship dynamic that's based on mutual respect and desire, not one-sided pursuit. As the dynamic evolves, she begins to associate your presence with a sense of reward. Every interaction with you feels earned, not taken for granted. This is powerful because it creates a cycle of positive reinforcement in her mind. She starts to see you not as someone who's always there at her convenience, but as someone whose attention and time are truly valuable. And this is where the transformation happens. She's no longer just interested in you. She's emotionally invested. The effort she puts into gaining your attention makes her feel more connected to you. What's fascinating is how this process taps into deeper emotional needs. By stepping back, you're giving her the space to reflect on her feelings. She's no longer reacting to your constant presence. Instead, she's acting on her own growing desire to connect with you. This shift is subtle, but significant. It's no longer about you chasing her. It's about her choosing you. That choice creates a stronger emotional bond because it's built on her own decision making, not on external pressure. And here's the key to sustaining this dynamic. You must stay consistent in your self-improvement. Distance alone won't make her desperate for you if there's no substance to back it up. She'll notice if your life is stagnant or if your confidence is just a facade. But if she sees you consistently growing, achieving, and living a life that inspires, she'll be drawn to you on a deeper level. Your independence and drive become part of your allure. It's not just about making her chase you, it's about being someone worth chasing. As she invests more effort, the balance between scarcity and connection becomes crucial. Too much distance, and she might give up or think you're not interested. Too much availability, and the intrigue disappears. The sweet spot is found in the way you respond. When she texts you, don't always reply immediately, but don't ignore her either. When you're with her, be fully present and engaged, but keep some parts of your life private. This mix of accessibility and mystery keeps her hooked, constantly wanting to know more about you and your world. Over time, this approach not only builds attraction, but also lays the groundwork for a healthier, more balanced relationship. You're showing her that you're not a pushover, that you respect yourself and your time. And in doing so, you're setting the tone for a connection built on mutual respect and admiration. She doesn't just see you as a man she's drawn to. She sees you as a man she genuinely values. So when she starts to reach out more, when her texts become longer and more frequent, when she's the one suggesting plans and asking about your day, you'll know it's working. This isn't about manipulation. It's about understanding what drives human connection and attraction. By creating space, you've allowed her to rediscover the value of having you in her life. And when that happens, she's not just thinking about you. She's actively working to keep you close.